Am I the asshole for removing an unofficial neighborhood playground? So me and my fiancé recently bought a house. The house has a plot of land next to it where a two-car garage that burnt down a few years ago used to stand. The previous owner, rather than rebuilding the garage, decided to build a small playground on the land for the neighborhood kids to use. Apparently it became pretty popular. But seeing as we do not have kids and have no plan to have them, we have no use for the playground. So when me and my fiancé moved in, we quickly took the playground down. We are planning to rebuild a new garage as it's something we really need. This caused a small uproar with parents in the neighborhood. Some yelling at us telling us we can't take it down as it part of the neighborhood. One neighbor even tried to call the police claiming destruction of public property. From what I heard, she was told it wasn't on public property, it was on our property and we can do as we please. We've been getting a lot of crappy from some of the neighbors, but honestly we have many reason to not want this playground. 1. I have work. Long nights as a nurse and usually only get few hours of sleep during the day, and this may make me sound like a monsters, but I do not want kids scream and playing in my yard while I'm trying to sleep. 2. There is liability if the kid get injury or worst. We could get in a lot of trouble. 3. It is a complete eyesore. This is not some professional store-bought playground. It was made using old equipment that the previous owner and some of the neighbors found. Most of the equipment was very old and rusty, which again can get me into trouble if one of the kid gets sick or injured. So am I the asshole for taking down a neighborhood playground? Not the asshole. Tell them your insurance made you take it down. Not the asshole. If the playground was so important to the neighborhood parents, they should have banded together to buy the side of land. Or they should re-erect it in their yards. Not the asshole for your reasons listed. It's your house. If a kid breaks his arm on your property, you'll get in trouble. I would imagine your insurance would go up a lot just from it existing. No idea how to handle the neighbors, but you can't leave it up to appease them. Is the playground still intact anywhere? Maybe one of them will be willing to put it up on their lawn instead. They won't, but hopefully it helps them understand your point. Not the asshole. I work in claims and insurance. If they saw this on your property, the insurance company would go nuts. It's not only a hazard in general, but if it's old, rusty and not put together by a professional, then even worse. Some kid breaks an arm or gets a serious concussion. You would be dead in the water. Insurance hates things like this in pools and trampolines because someone always gets hurt and then a suit happens, and what could literally be zero fault of their insured they still have to pay. Like if a neighbor trespassed on your property to let their kids swim without permission and one of them drowned. Yeah, you still could be on the hook because it's an attractive nuisance. Not the asshole, but your neighbors are going give you hell. Maybe you should see if it would be possible to relocate it? It might suck a bit for the kids, but you're not the asshole. It's your property, and with COVID going around, no kid should be using it even if you didn't take it down. Whether or not you're not going to have fun for the rest of your life living next to these people. Not the asshole. Your reasons are very valid. Kids could easily get hurt and mad parents could easily blame you. Just because someone told someone else it was public property doesn't make it true. It is on your land. You are entitled to do what you want with it. Woman shrugging, medium light skin tone. If the neighborhood is so upset about it, they can get together and build one on their own properties. Or push for a public one to be built close by. Not the asshole. I might be considered heartless, but you need your sleep, especially during these times. If the neighbor keeps on harassing you, report them for harassment. There's also the fact those people won't hesitate to blame you if their children got hurt on your property based on how they reacted. Not the asshole. The playground is on your land, it's a legal liability, and the parents who chastise you for it could just as easily make one on their own property. Not the asshole. This is on the city for not providing or mandating from the developer adequate green space within residential areas. You could offer to donate the old equipment to the city or neighborhood if they will find somewhere they can use to create a parklet. Get your mayor and aldermen or alderwomen, council people involved. Y'all are all upset at the wrong people here. It's your property, so you're not the asshole. However, you could have probably handled the situation with a little more empathy. If for no other reason than because you have to now live around all these angry people. Are people completely missing that this exact thing was posted yesterday, only with the extra inflammatory addition of the land being repurposed as a playground for disabled children, from the perspective of one of the allegedly entitled parents of the community? Or that this is a 2-week-old account with only this post and a half-assed roast me post of an IG model? It's not real, people. Not the asshole. Your reasons are extremely valid and it is your land. The entitlement. It was something the previous owners did and you are under no obligation to continue to do so and put yourself at risk. For them to call the cops is ridiculous. Not the asshole. It's your property. And you are 100% on point with the liability concern. When we bought our first house, the previous owners had kids and it was a hassle to get the rest of the neighborhood kids to stop running through our yard as they thought they should still be able to. We finally built a fence. I may or may not have had a drawn-out back and forth with a 12 years old that I'm allowed to build a fence on my own property, not my most mature moment. Thankfully I didn't have the wrath of the neighborhood parents. Good luck and stand your ground. Not the asshole. It ceased to be a neighborhood playground when you purchased the property. It then became playground equipment on your private property. Since it's your property, you had every right to remove it. Not the asshole for removing a serious liability from your property. Although if you knew that the neighborhood was consistently using this and that it was treated as a public space, it would have been kind to let the neighbors know a day or so ahead of time that due to liability reasons you needed to remove these things from your property, and offer to let the others remove any of the equipment that they wanted to install in their own space. And by the way, if your homeowner's insurance inspection took place before this was removed, then you may get a reduction if you ask them to come back and verify that the playground is no longer installed. I bet that if you didn't take it down, a child played on it and got hurt, their parents would be the first to sue you as it's on your property. I feel like I read this exact post like 6 months ago. Not the asshole. Like the great Michael Jordan once said, "Fuck them kids." Your 3 reasons are completely legitimate. Even if your reason were, "It's my land and what I say goes," is good enough for me. Do as you wish with your property and ignore the haters. They can put swing sets up on their own property if they wish. Not the asshole. Honestly, I'm shocked that the previous owner was willing to take on that kind of liability. I used to have a swing set in my backyard and my neighbors had to chase some teens away from it one day. One of the parents later knocked on his door and said that it was public property and he had no right. The minute I found out that people were considering my play set as public property, I took it down. I was not gonna take on that kind of liability. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Fuck them kids. Not the asshole. Crosspost this to our childfree if you really want to see people get pissed at your neighbors on your behalf. Yeah, you are the asshole. Not because you did something you needed to do, but because when you realized you had to do it, you didn't give 2 shits about informing the community why, breaking the news in a collaborative way, the children's feelings. Next time, when you realize you have to do something that will affect people, give them a heads up first. You feel like you need to write this post because people are calling you an asshole even though you did something you had to do. Insurance, sleep, garage. All good reasons. You're not wrong. You're just being an asshole. Sounds like it's not necessarily what you did, but the way you did it. Not the asshole. You will probably get people calling you the asshole because you don't inconvenience yourselves to accommodate some entitled parents and their kids, but your reasons are more than valid. Not the asshole. Tell the neighbors that are complaining to take the equipment and set it up at their house. Not the asshole. It was on your property. You have nothing to feel bad or sorry for. If parents want their kids to play, they can take them to an actual playground on city grounds. Ignore the rude neighbors. Your land equals your rules. Good luck on building your garage. Not the asshole. I read on another Am I the Asshole how the person allowed kids to play in the large area they had in front of their property, which was a part of the private property. They tried to be nice, but a kid injured his leg and the parents sued the owner for $10,000 probably. You do not walk into this trap. The neighbors don't own that piece of property, nor is it public. Tell them if they still want to use it, they have to pay an exorbitant entry fee or something. Your property, your rules. Period. Not the asshole. This is private property. If someone wants a playground, they can build one on their own yard. Not the asshole. Your money, your house, your choice. They want a playground? Why don't they build one? Although not the asshole, you could have given some of the parents a heads up the next time you saw them with their kids. Doesn't cost anything and saves a lot of time, drama. Not the asshole. One injury and you would be sued. Somebody I know lived in a neighborhood with a family that sued a lot of neighbors because their child was injured on their properties. We some yelling at us telling yous we can't take it down as it part of the neighborhood. I had a stroke. Not the asshole. Your property, your choice. I am calling BS. I feel like I have read this exact same story on here previously. Not the asshole. If you want a neighborhood playground, put it up on your property. There is liability if the kid get injury or worst. We could get in a lot of trouble. Even with your other completely valid reasons, this right here is why that thing had to go the second you bought the place. There are no good ways to protect yourself in this situation. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your reasons are all valid. I might add another. In many, most, all, U.S. states, and probably in other parts of the country, if you allow others to use your land for a certain period of time, often 7 to 10 continuous years, but it varies, they acquire a legal right to continue to do so. You'd have to look into that if it matters to you. Best not to talk about it unless you know the number of years, though, just in case you passed it. Still, it's a bad start to a relationship with your neighbors. You'd probably have done better to talk to a few of them and maybe post a nice letter on the site for a day or so, explaining why you had to take the action. Even now, a PR campaign might go a long way. Still, a definite not the asshole. NTA, but I can see how people can see you as the Kids think, oh no. Mean new lady came in and removed our playground. While parents are kinda choosing beggars, maybe didn't know about the whole legality of the situation. I doubt most people care enough about the law to actually know about how legal playgrounds are sprouted. They just go all, oh, playground, and don't know about the cost of the equipment, insurance, land issues, etc. In the end, it is your property and more power to you to remove it. You're an essential worker, RN. TYSM, stay safe sis bro. Edit. See the op as the asshole from an emotional standpoint, not one by law or logic, by the way. I'm just trying to understand the other PPL's POVs. Not the asshole. It's your property, you can do what you want lol. Not the asshole if only for the liability issue. Not the asshole. Your property, your rules and responsibility. You don't want to risk your financial future because some kid got injured playing on your property. Not the asshole. Liability is the key word here. When I was younger, we moved to a house with a wooded area behind it. The previous owners of our house, but not the owners of the wooded area, built a few ramshackle tree houses. They held up well, but they weren't the sturdiest. A few years later, a new neighbor saw them, went and talked with the owner of the property, and they came down. I was annoyed, but then again, I was a kid. As an adult, I completely understand. Not the asshole. Not your job to provide entertainment for others' offsprings. Not the asshole. Definitely not the I'd say show any neighbors that ask, proof that it was on your property. The parents can buy a $600 backyard play set with swings and a slide online, Walmart, and put it on their property lol. Not the asshole. It's on your property, and left as, I'm guessing, a pretty big insurance liability. Children's smiles are nice and all, but not worth going destitute for when little Jimmy down the block shatters his tibia doing somersaults on your land. Your new neighbors are being bullies. Sorry you didn't get a muffin basket and a stack of local takeout menus instead of some baseless guilt. Not the asshole. IANAL, but attractive nuisance, would seem to apply there, and your insurance company would definitely have something to say about it. This is insanely clear-cut. It's your property. The end. Not the asshole.